Hello, Jennifer, and welcome to your past life reading. Thank you for your patience, first and foremost. If you see smoke coming from the bottom, it's my Apollo. I was just getting ready for this. So I'm not going to keep you waiting any longer. Today, we're getting into the three past lives most connected to this one, starting with your first incarnation here on Earth, because Jennifer has been many different names, races, religions, genders, things from plant to animal to human over the course of hundreds or even possibly thousands, maybe even millions of years, because we used to be pieces of light connected to source, and we wanted to see what was source made of. What are the capabilities? What are the possibilities? So we get into these little human vehicles and start journeys. Now, the thing about this is, once you get here, it sort of works like the butterfly effect. You have one incarnation, excuse me, where something happens and you're like, hold on, no, let me fix that one. And then that just keeps creating more and more ripples that you're trying to fix. So we are here to see, excuse me, what are the things keeping you from ascending? Why are you still here? What have you been going through? What baggage are you still carrying with you from your other incarnations? So I'm going to start by tapping into your Akashic record. And if you don't know what your Akashic record is, that's your book of life. So from the moment that you separated from source, like I was explaining, you got a book, and that includes all of the information about every incarnation you had, everyone you will have, because it's a pretty unlimited system. Time is only here, right? So from the moment that you separated, whether you lived in the constellation communities above, on any of the other planets, or here on Earth, all your stories are there. So I'm going to be tuning my human radio receiver, because we are made up of protons, neutrons, molecules, atoms. We are just condensed matter, condensed static that we can see because of the way light reflects off of us and stuff. So we take in frequencies and we give off frequencies. This works the same way as when you could tell somebody's telling a lie, but you don't know why they're telling a lie, but you can just feel it. It's because your radio picked up on the vibration. I am picking up on the vibration of your book of life. So that's where we're going to get started. I am entering the Akashic Hall of Records on behalf of Jennifer Lindo. Now I have the details from Jennifer's first incarnation here on Earth. I'm going through the internet, the universal internet to get information. So, first and foremost, you had a very great incarnation the first time. You do have a counterpart that you are already with, and in this life, you were the consummate. I think that's the way I'm supposed to say it. The perfect other half to a guy. So originally, I'm not even going to get into societal standards now, but originally, the masculine energy, which is action oriented, goes out into the world, makes a name for itself, does whatever it takes to make the home a great place. Because the woman, which is represented by this, the king of keys, right? Because the woman is the muse. The woman is the creative energy. You hold space for the masculine to be able to do what he does. So in this case, he was out making money, making sure your life was great and those sort of things. And you were at home taking care of the family and being a, my mind said receptacle, but I like that sounds horrible. But you were leaving space for him to be the great man he was. You were the wife that made sure that, I don't want to say his feet were rubbed, but his food was made, his bath was ran. You had a very nice home. So now I'm going to dig more into this past life, where you were like a OG homemaker, original. This is very early on in incarnation cycles when the structure was still very much set in place, because it does work regardless of how things are now. It does work when the male is doing like the heavy lifting, because although females are capable of it, it burns out their creative energy when they have to be in their masculine more than their flow energy. And the same for males, the opposite way. If they have to be home being like super dad all the time, it makes them like, because they need somewhere to let out their masculine energy, which is their dominant way of functioning. I think I'm getting sick. So sorry about that. May I have more details from this past life where Jennifer was a housewife? Doesn't feel American at all, which is wild. It's not American, British. Okay. Well, this is a time when that country was at war. That's why it was so very important for you to be a safe space for your husband. Because in this life, you guys were actually learning forgiveness. Like a lot of stuff went down during that war. It feels like it was based upon money. Is this taxation? Yes. Uh, the people were fighting the government. And your dude was one of those people that went out there and made speeches, tried to make a difference with his friends. So let's see how this life came to a close for you. And yes, I do have a death deck because a lot of people have blockages from how they passed away. Like you could have a phobia in this life that came from how you passed away, but also a reason that you don't go after your mission because you don't like the way that it ended beforehand. Souls can have resentment. So how did this life, as a housewife born war in England, come to an end for Jennifer? How did this life come to a close? Ironically, the death deck is the biggest one. 1,000 ways to die. It doesn't cut it. Measles. 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 And that makes so much sense for the time period, right? You moved into an area or you were living in an area where an outbreak happened, this big city. Are you a germaphobe? That would be something that I would imagine would carry along with that. So let's see, what is the remaining ripple from that life? What didn't you complete? Because all lives have to end. Sometimes they end when you complete a mission, and sometimes they end because somebody sees that you were a threat to whatever they're doing. But there's always a rhyme or reason for this. So what is the remaining shadow pattern from this life for Jennifer? What is the remaining shadow pattern from this life? Ah, so what's ironic here is you wanted to be a part of what was going on. Yes, your space was the creative female mother, but you wanted just a little bit more ability to interact during the revolution, is the feeling here. That woman's place thing comes back up again, but for you, you weren't feeling that. Yes, you were content, but penchant for dreaming is this one. You wanted more. You wanted to do more. And I believe that your wanting to do more was this writing. Because this came up on the side and I knew it didn't have a place yet, but you wanted to document. You wanted to say something that mattered. And you were not allowed to. So downcast pride and regret. So we now see that there is a ripple in desire. Desire creates the next incarnation. Having a wish at the end, like, dang, I wish I had did such and such, makes you come back again. So that was life number one. You were a housewife with a great dude who was a part of a revolution. You wanted to assist him, but because times were what they were, you weren't exactly able to assist him at that time, and that made you want to come back with a position of more power as a female. Um, Maybe not even as a female. We'll find out in the next incarnation. But I'm gonna say because of that loathing, because of that unfulfilled need, the feeling of a lack of purpose, according to self, measles is what took you out. You weren't fulfilling what you wanted to do in that life, so therefore there was no longer a reason for you to continue on in that one. That is how life and death works here. So, may I have the details from Jennifer's second incarnation here on What are the details from the second incarnation? This one feels heavier already. That was a good start of life. I mean, you just jumped in and on easy mode, sort of, kind of. So, the Queen of Scrolls. See, that's somebody who wanted to write. You really, really wanted to write. And it looks like you were a librarian. If you couldn't see that, it's the Akashic Library on that card, but it lets me know that you were a librarian. You were somebody keeping track of facts, data, information. Being a wife was not the main thing here, which is great because you see how that just worked out that quick. Immediately you popped up and did what you wanted to do. What was left behind? So let's see. May I have more details from this past life where Jennifer was a writer and librarian, researcher, historian came up. But Jennifer was a historian. Immediately was popping in my head is that lady from The Mummy, the one with Brendan Fraser. Yes. So things that pop out here. Asia. This was a life in Asia where you were working in a library, working in and it doesn't even feel like a regular library because the arts popped up too, right? So this is like a colony for people who are preserving information, specifically biblical information. So these arts are like spiritual arts, like people who can levitate, meditate, channel, all those sort of things that you would keep hidden somewhere, like in a monastery. You are a historian in an Asian monastery, keeping track of ancient important information. I'll say that probably took care of that yearning that was there in the last life. And it does not, you didn't get a spouse. It feels like you stayed to yourself. This life was about growth. Trees. That's always growth for me, reaching out, right? But then look at the bottom of this. Nun or monk. Can't make this shit up, right? So how did this life as a historian and monk in Asia work for Jennifer Wendell? You did the opposite of the other life. You're like this war and all this stuff. Put me somewhere safe. How did this end? Oh my goodness. All right. So I'm gonna say make sure you keep up with your shots because measles came up twice. And keep in mind, I shot the fuck out of that deck. Um, but also a blood illness. Can measles be in your blood? Now I have to Google. Sometimes that happens too. Something comes through me and I need to know. But it's something about blood measles. Am I do measles affect your blood? Yes, haha, it popped up. See, I knew it. So you're meant to know that the measles gave you fewer white blood cells, which allowed you to be taken out by like something else, like pneumonia or something else. But the measles getting into your blood is what. I wonder if like DNA wise, if you get one sickness, is it able to pop back up again? I thought everything worked like the chicken pox and definitely didn't think it rolled over into other lives, but this is the second life where measles took you out. You must have been done your mission. That's what's coming through here. You had learned what you wanted to for that life, so you sort of logged out of the character, if you will. So let's see what the remaining shadow pattern is from this life. What did you have left behind that you wanted to fix from this one? What was the remaining shadow pattern from this life for Jennifer? What was the remaining shadow pattern? Oh, fated to suffer. I feel like this has something to do with those measles. Like you feel like, which is so funny because your soul is aware of why it's passing away, but your human was like, oh no, every life I am meant to suffer. And I mean, we can laugh because here you are as Jennifer. You're alive, clearly. You're not in Asia and you're not in England. But that is wild. So a fear of death is what that's coming up as. A fear of how you're gonna go on. If anything is worth you doing it, doing this life. Because once again, penchant, penchant. Am I saying that right? To dream. You enjoyed this being a part of something, being acknowledged as a part of something, but you were still a part of a team. Nothing made you stand out as just you. So you want to stand out as you. You were still, this is about you developing an ego, developing a sense of self. Is this me? Developing a sense of self outside of a group, outside of your partner. This seems like you would have Libra placements, or even Libra 12th house, Libra moon, Libra south node, anything that had to do with you being a partner, or either Aquarius. Just very air based. You are learning amongst groups, and you desire to know what you can do on your own, just you. So let's see how that played out for the next life. May I have the details for the third incarnation most connected to this one for Jennifer? What are the details from this third incarnation most connected to this? It's very interesting. Sailing, big difference. Sailing and writing. Didn't I tell you you really wanted to be a writer? But this is somebody who goes out, sees something and writes it down, like the great Stragobinus or whatever. Of course, it wasn't dinosaurs, but finding. I think you wanted to be known for discovering something, contributing something to humanity, bringing stuff into balance. And it does feel like you were male. You were male this time. You were out and about. You were traveling all the time, documenting, exploring. Very, very Sagittarius here. So let me get the details from this past life for you. What are the details from this past life where Jennifer was an explorer and writer? So much time writing and thinking, like your mind never shut up. Okay, so I find this interesting because these are not necessarily in order. The past lives that came out, I asked for your first incarnation here, right? I said that was England, or Top City was there. Y'all were, it was like the feudal people fighting the rich, right? But this one is like the Atlantis area, which was way before that England one. But I don't think so. I think it's just giving me the marker. Or I shouldn't say I think it's streaming through me that it's just giving me the marker that this was the area. So this is Caribbean. Like that whole area where the Bermuda Triangle is now, it didn't used to be empty. Everything used to be together, being directed to tell you to look at Pangea or a map of Atlantis or Lemuria. Um, just so you can understand the area this was in, because Atlantis was already done here. But you were born and raised on a farm here. And when you grew up, in order to get away from the wars and battles, because you came again during the time of war, you became I don't want to say soldier, but a traveler. Like what's the word? Paid for your stay on the ship because you weren't an actual soldier, through doing little tasks like scrubbing the deck, helping the captain with stuff. See, this person over here is what's standing out to me. You see this person over here with a map? That's sort of kind of what you were doing. You were excited about being brought along for the travel. Like you were an apprentice, you were learning. And you got to work with the group, but you were looking for something specifically that made you stand out. This is very much like you wanted to be Christopher Columbus, you wanted to be Magellan, you wanted to be somebody who was known for what you discovered. So let's see. How did this life as an explorer end for Jennifer? How did this life end? It immediately feel like you did discover something, you did do something amazing, but somebody else took credit for it, or the name was branched under somebody else's name. Which is very, very interesting. So this life ended while you were still traveling. I'm treading lightly here on this death, because it's dogs, by the way. But what I'm seeing is, and I'll just do it that way, I'll just tell you what I'm seeing in front of my eyes. Instead of I'll be trying to like make it more delicate. Like it's not your life now, but you still need to know what happened to you. It's traumatizing. Like you guys stopped at different places. Y'all were like pirates, but not pirates. Y'all didn't steal from anybody or anything, but you stopped at different places after being on the sea for months, like all the time. And when y'all would stop at these places, y'all would party hard. This is drinking, this is whores, all those things that you weren't able to do, of course, while you were on sea traveling and being very focused. But particularly in this time, it does feel like a dog attack, but you were extremely drunk. It's like the place that you you were at was unfamiliar, and you were drunk walking by yourself in the alley, and that's how that ended. I'm gonna label this one under freak accident, and I believe that is how your discovery was taken by somebody else. I feel very deeply like this faded to suffer card is gonna pop up again for the ripple for what's wrong here. But no, yes, you were onto something. As a matter of fact, I feel like y'all were even celebrating that particular evening because of what had been discovered. But then again, that still falls under the branch of you completing the mission that you came to complete. So the game took you out. But dang, did you deserve your notoriety? I'm gonna dig into that a little bit more because it's sort of bothering me. Um, what is the remaining past life ripple or the remaining shadow from this life for Jennifer? What was the shadow remaining for this life for? You still didn't get your credit. This is artificial art. This is still unhappiness. And keep in mind, this is after you had the life review at the end and you got to see your life back. What was bothering you? Happiness was not in what you thought it would be in, right? Today for tomorrow, this is you always swapping out your dreams, still feeling like it's a little bit out of reach. And that has caused an obsession with finding what is it that makes you happy. Languishing is the feeling that pops up. Like your soul is constantly searching for that thing that makes them feel fulfilled. This is wild, Jennifer. I haven't had one like this before. But hold on, I'm gonna go where I'm got it because I'm still connected to your record. There is something that you need to know about that discovery. Come on through. Let me shuffle a little bit because that's how I get the channel through. I try not to let the message come straight through me and then like fry my circuits and I get all tired and then my stuff gets all delayed. I use the cards to hold the energy. What did Jennifer discover in that last incarnation? What did she discover? Bahamas has popped up. Okay, so when the fuck was this? Excuse my language. Okay, so hey, like I said, this energy comes through me. It is not of me. What you discovered. Oh man, I need to show you the screen. Oh my goodness. Okay, all right. I was just reading back. Okay, so let me put me up here. So Bahamas is what popped in my head because remember I told you Atlantis in that area, right? And then sugarcane. So I'm like, all right, who discovered sugarcane in Atlantis, right? So sugarcane was brought to the Americas in the 15th century, arriving first in Brazil. Remember, you was on that ship by way of Portuguese traders, right? The first sugarcane planted in the New World was a gift from the governor of the Canary Islands to who? Christopher Columbus. The fact that that popped up in here when I mentioned that's what you were trying to do. Um, so there is some connection to Mr. Columbus for you. The first sugar cane planted in the New World was a gift. Yeah, I feel like very deeply, sweetie, you had something to do with this voyage, with all of this sugar plantations in the Caribbean. You were riding around the in what 15th century? Just to close this out for me, because this helps me understand like the way my shit works too, my gifts work too. This is just wild. Ah, okay. So now I understand the dog attack also. This almost brought me to tears. Oh, this is amazing every time. So this is how a dog was able to kill you when you were walking around an unfamiliar area. This is not a regular dog. That's an African on here. Stop it. But I guess it's showing me the picture as a thing. But it's not a regular dog, or it was not. It's mixed with leftover. I'm messing something up. Mixed up with leftover. That's why they were named that. But these are not regular dogs. It's a mixed breed type dog. This is what it looks like now. What I am picturing, or what uh I felt, was a feral dog. So look into this more when you would like to. I find it very interesting that this popped up here because that's more what I was picturing as what attacked you. But you were in a place that was not your regular place. You were a traveler. This is great how this came together. I can't wait to hear your feedback. Thanks, Jennifer.